Remember, a habit and a pattern is something you don't know you're doing by definition. Once you become aware of the pattern and the habit, you don't have it anymore. You have to be beyond it to know it was there. Because while you're in it, you don't see it as a habit. You understand?
I do.
Therefore, you have a definition in your society that once you become aware of a habit, you still now have to do something to let it go. Becoming aware of the habit is the end of the process of letting it go, not the beginning. And if you know that, then you will see that it is gone. If it still continues, what that means is you still have another belief you haven't found that says that for some reason you have to keep choosing to do something you don't prefer to do. Find that belief and let that one go. And if you still are behaving the same way, you still haven't found the core belief.
Spread love, man.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to try to figure out how to get rid of those negative beliefs and habits. I think we all have them. And, they can hold us back. You had some really cool material from Bashar on this. And I'm really interested to hear your take on it.
Yeah, for sure. Bashar always has such a unique perspective, so this should be good.
Okay, so right away, Bashar kind of throws us a curveball. He says that being aware of a habit is the end of letting it go, not the beginning.
Right.
It's not the beginning.
It really changes how we usually think about breaking habits,
Oh, boy.
We always hear that awareness is the first step, and then you got to use willpower and repetition and all that. But Bashar's saying that true awareness can be really powerful on its own. I've definitely had those moments where I just notice a habit. Like, I don't know, just mindlessly scrolling on my phone.
Oh, yeah?
And the urge to do it just kind of goes away.
That's so interesting. Have you ever had that where just being aware of something was enough to just change it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It doesn't always work that easily, of course.
Right.
Sometimes those habits have deeper roots that we need to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's where Bashar's onion analogy comes in.
Oh, yeah.
He says that negative beliefs can have lots of layers, with secondary beliefs hiding the core belief at the root.
I love the onion analogy. It's so true. We think we found the problem, but there's always another layer underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
Or two or three more. It makes me think about all the times I've tried to stop a habit, but then I just end up doing it again.
Right.
Maybe I was never really getting to that core belief that's causing it.
That's exactly what Bashar's getting at. He says we should ask ourselves a few questions to peel back those layers. Like, if you're trying to stop procrastinating, you could ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What belief is making me act this way? Am I afraid of failing? Do I think I can't succeed?
Right.
It's really important to find that core belief, because Bashar says once you really figure it out and let go of it, you just won't do it anymore.
Wow, that's powerful. It makes you realize that we have to go deeper, not just try surface level stuff, but really understand the beliefs that are making us do what we do. But like you were saying, those beliefs can be sneaky.
Yeah.
Bashar calls them lies, smoke, and mirrors.
Kind of sounds a little dramatic, right?
He does.
But I think it really shows how those negative beliefs aren't actually true.
Right.
They're like a distorted view of reality that we start to believe is real.
Yeah.
And the really sneaky part is that they reinforce themselves. So it seems like there's no other way to think.
Yeah, it's like they make up their own evidence to prove that they're right. So how do we escape this?
Yeah.
How do we see through the smoke and mirrors?
Well, Bashar gives us a kind of skeleton key. He says the way to unlock these beliefs is to just realize that they're just beliefs. They're not facts.
Okay.
They can be changed.
That makes sense in my head. But changing beliefs that are really deep down can be scary.
Oh, for sure.
It's like we're programmed to avoid change.
Yeah.
Even if it's good for us.
Yeah, you're right. Change can be scary, especially when you're dealing with beliefs you've had for a long time. But Bashar says that being afraid can actually be a good sign.
Oh, really?
It means the negative belief is starting to lose its power, and we're about to break through to something new. It's like, it's always darkest before the dawn.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better to think that being afraid could actually mean I'm making progress. So how do we work with that fear? How do we embrace it and not let it stop us?
Bashar says we should just acknowledge the fear, don't try to fight it.
All right.
We can tell ourselves, okay, I'm feeling scared, but that's fine. It's normal. Remember, feeling fear doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're pushing your boundaries.
That's really helpful. So for everyone listening, if you're feeling that fear right now,
Yeah.
while we're talking about all this, you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's a normal part of growing and changing. Okay, so we're starting to understand how these beliefs work. They kind of trick us into thinking they're true, and then they trap us in this cycle. But how do we actually break free? How do we get rid of the lies and replace them with something better?
Yeah, that's when things get really interesting. Bashar talks about the father of lies.
Okay.
I know that phrase might sound kind of strong, especially if you're not religious, but just hear me out.
Yeah, that one did make me wonder what he was talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely meant to get your attention. But if we forget about the religious part, I think it really shows how sneaky these beliefs are.
Right.
They whisper all these little lies to us. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. Nobody should ever love you. And we believe them without even realizing it.
It's like there are these voices in the back of our minds that we just accept.
Yeah.
And they can be so subtle. There's not always these big dramatic things, just little bits of self-doubt that eat away at us.
Exactly. And it can show up in all sorts of ways, like feeling dumb and not going for a promotion, or feeling ugly and not trying to date anyone. And the worst part is the more we believe these lies, the more we do things that make them seem true.
Right.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So how do we get away from this father of lies? How do we stop believing these bad stories about ourselves?
Bashar's message is all about taking back our power. He says we always have a choice.
Okay.
We can keep feeding these negative beliefs, or we can invest in positive ones. And here's the thing. Negative beliefs make us feel small and worthless, but positive beliefs make us feel good about ourselves.
So it's not just about getting rid of the bad stuff, but actually putting good stuff in its place. It's about focusing on what we do have, not what we don't have.
Exactly. And changing your perspective like that can be really powerful. It opens up so many possibilities. Just imagine what you could do if you truly believed in yourself. What would you go after? What dreams would you chase?
That's such a good point. It makes me realize that I've let my own negative beliefs hold me back from doing things I love.
Yeah.
I've basically been giving up before I even start.
Yeah,
Like that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
totally. The things we believe shape our world. So if we want a different world, a better world where we can grow and be happy, we have to change what we believe. And that starts with noticing those negative beliefs that are running in the background.
So how can we become more aware of them? They're so ingrained sometimes that it's hard to even see them.
One thing that helps is to listen to how you talk to yourself. Pay attention to those negative thoughts that pop up during the day. What keeps coming up? What lies are you telling yourself over and over? Just being more aware of those thoughts is a huge first step.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And then once we start recognizing those beliefs, what do we do with them? Do we try to argue with them or ignore them?
Bashar suggests a gentler approach. He says when those negative beliefs come up, don't try to fight them. Just acknowledge them and say, okay, I see you, I hear you, but I'm choosing something different now.
So it's like we're recognizing that they're there, but we're not letting them control us.
Exactly. It's about giving those feelings some space without letting them run the show. And then the key is to choose a better belief instead.
Okay.
So if you think I'm not good enough, you can counter it with I am capable and I'm worthy. It might feel weird at first, but if you keep practicing, those new positive beliefs will start to stick.
So we're not pretending the bad thoughts aren't there. We're just choosing not to let them be in charge anymore. And instead, we're choosing something that helps us create the life we want.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to investing in those positive beliefs. It's not just something that happens. It's something we have to choose every single day.
And just like investing in anything else, it takes dedication. It's about taking care of those positive beliefs, giving them proof, and backing them up with action. The more we invest in them, the stronger they'll get.
It's amazing how much we've learned about beliefs. Bashar's given us so many tools to work with. It's like he's mapped out how we can change our inner world.
He really has. And I think the best part is that it's not about never having negative beliefs again.
Right.
It's about changing how we see them.
Yeah.
It's about realizing that those thoughts aren't who we are. We're the ones observing them.
That's such a helpful way to look at it. It's so easy to get caught up in those negative thought loops
Oh, yeah.
and feel like they're controlling us. But if we can remember that we're just watching them, it gives us some breathing room.
Exactly. We get to choose which thoughts we pay attention to and which ones we let go of. And the more we practice this without judging ourselves, the less power those thoughts have over us.
It's like we're teaching our minds to be less reactive,
Yeah.
more in control.
Yeah.
So instead of immediately believing every negative thought, we can stop, take a breath, and choose a better way to see things.
And that's where real change happens.
Oh, yeah.
When we decide to step out of those old habits and into a new way of being.
So as we finish up this deep dive into Bashar's ideas,
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave you with a few things I've really learned. First, being aware is so important. Just noticing those negative beliefs is a huge step.
Totally. And then be curious.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why you have those beliefs. What are you afraid of? What's making you feel insecure?
That's a good one. It's
Huh.
not about beating ourselves up for having these beliefs.
Right.
It's about understanding where they come from.
Yeah.
What are they trying to protect us from?
Exactly. And last but not least, remember that you have the power to choose. You can choose to believe things that make you feel good, things that lift you up and help you see how amazing you are.
So to everyone listening, I want you to think about what really stuck with you today. What beliefs are you ready to let go of? What new beliefs are you ready to embrace? And what are you going to do to make your life reflect who you really are? You have the power to change.
Well said. Thanks for being here with us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time as we keep exploring how to expand our consciousness.